we'd a whole lot rather beat around the bush than speak the truth, especially when the truth is like, all right, you're wanting to take away some of my pleasure. I don't want that truth. I don't find some more. So I don't find make up my own truth, so I can keep doing what I want to do. That Bible truth stuff is. I don't think I like it anymore.
Right. So, yeah, I do like that.
Well, verse 15 is really a classic verse here in all of Romans, but especially in Romans 7. He says, I do not understand what I do.
Mm-hmm.
For what I want to do, I don't do it. And the thing that I hate,
I do it.
that's the thing I do.
It's called human nature.
Yeah. For those who say that they're Christian, but you can't see any fruit in their life, right? You can't see that there has been a change. You can't see that they have moved away from sinful things and toward godly things. You can't see that in their life, right? That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a problem for Paul. I mean, it's a problem that he's not able to be and do exactly what he wants to be and do. But it's clear that he's moving away from sinful things and moving toward the things of the Spirit, moving toward living a holy life, which is what, again, Romans 12:1 and 2 says. So the whole reason because if you didn't believe that, you wouldn't have the debate. If you didn't believe that you should be moving away from sin and toward God, you wouldn't say like he does, I don't understand what I do. For what I want to do, which is godly stuff, I don't do it. And what I hate doing, that's the sinful stuff. I used to like my sinful stuff, but now I don't like sinful stuff. Well, and I don't want to do it anymore. Well, that's the very thing that I do. You wouldn't even be having that discussion with yourself and that tension of here's what I want to do, here's what I don't want to do. I don't do enough of the stuff I want to do, and I do too much of the stuff that I don't want to do. You wouldn't even be having that tension and that debate if your heart and your mind and the quickened spirit in you didn't know that you're supposed to be moving in a direction of living a holy life. And since you do know that, that's the problem. That's the tension. So I don't want to live, cultural Jesus life. Good old boy. God's greater than our culture, right? I don't want to live, just a cultural representation of Jesus. He's greater than my culture, and my culture says, "What if it feels good? Do it." But there's something inside me that says that's just a half truth. That's not completely true. And so, David, here's the encouragement from me and you as disciple makers. And that is, we get to walk aside somebody and help, come up underneath them and help bear the weight, of their spiritual growth as they're wrestling with this right here. And it's in this process, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but it's in this process where you decide whether or not you're really born again or not.
Oh yeah.
Because you wouldn't deny the flesh if you weren't born again.
It's the times when you're really struggling back and forth. That's when it's the times when the heartache comes, the hurt comes, the hard stuff comes. That's when you really find out, you know what I mean? In my opinion.
Well, you got your opinion just right. Sound like you got your opinion from the Word.
Well, I live my opinion, so.
In the wrong way, and now in the right way.
Yeah, and and then the hardship that came along with it, meaning this time divorce.
Terrible pain.
Yep.
And so this is the great privilege that you and I have as men who are making disciple makers, and that is to walk alongside somebody who has experienced that pain, and you've got credibility, not because you live like the devil, but after you did that, you said that's wrong. Like verse 6 says, it actually has me bound. It didn't free me from anything. It bound me. And now I can walk alongside you as you're making your way through. And it's in that process of pushing through the confusion, right? Pushing through the I'm not sure if I want to keep following Jesus. I don't know if I want. I'm not convinced, and I'm kind of becoming convinced. It's painful to become, but I think I'm becoming convinced that I do want to keep following Jesus. I do want to let go of that living by the flesh. And like, again, verse 6 says, living by the Spirit. Because the things that the devil promised me about that I was going to get and have and be, if I live by my flesh, are not true. It didn't come true that I would have peace. It didn't come true that I would be satisfied. It didn't come true that I he certainly didn't tell me I was going to have guilt. He didn't tell me I was going to have shame. He didn't tell me that living for the flesh is going to be discouraging and disappointing and a disillusionment. He didn't tell us that. I've subsequently found that out. And so now I want to live by the Spirit, which is what verse 6 says. And as I'm, verse 15, struggling through this tension of growth, I've got somebody to walk alongside me. And here's another thing. This is just such a great point, and you might want to write this down. But there's a race. Sometimes my desire to please God outpaces my ability to please Him. Sometimes my desire to please God outpaces my actual ability to please Him. And that's what I think Paul might be referring to here. I don't understand what I do. For what I want to do, I don't do. And the thing I don't want to do, I turn right around and I do that. So our desire to please God outpaces my actual ability to please Him or to overcome sin. And this is why I've told you in the past, man, when you're discouraged or you're disillusioned or angry or whatever, it's still helpful. It's still helpful to get up and read God's word anyway. I'm slowly becoming convinced that God is a good God. And so the more I follow, the more I keep, even in my disappointment and stuff, the more I keep getting up and I read God's word, I say, God, help me through this. I believe you're a good God. I believe you care about what I've going through, experiencing. God, I'm going to keep following. And in doing that, it's like our desire and our ability At some time, our desire outpaces our ability. At other times, our ability, to get up and read the word anyway, our ability outpaces our desire because maybe we're discouraged. And so, this tension of obedience and our the emotional side of us, our affections, sometimes they're neck and neck, and I think that's part of the tension that Paul is talking about here in verse 15. What do you think about that? That makes